What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Clueless Yanks podcast. It's your boy Logan.
What up, y'all? It's Jake.
Howdy, it is Sling.
No Premier League action this week, international break. So this episode is going to be focused more around the U.S. men's national team, the U23s, and then stick around at the end of the podcast if you are here only for our Premier League section. You might want to fast forward towards the end of the podcast. We are going to give our all-time Premier League 11s with a little bit of a stipulation included. You guys will just have to wait and see for what that's going to be.
It could be controversial.
But we're going to start off with talking about some of the U.S., the U23s in particular. But before we get into that, we got to introduce ourselves to the people. What y'all boys get into this weekend? How'd y'all's weekends go?
Let's see. I had one off day this week, and it was actually today, so that was good. Saturday, worked some basketball games. Girls won. They won the conference, and they're going to the tournament. School. Absolutely backpacking that program right now.
Kind of like the women's is kind of backpacking the U.S. But
yeah, we don't need to talk about that. The men's got stomped. Hurts. But, other than that, today, woke up, worked out, got some Chipotle and watched
that
the U.S.
Chipotle.
Mo's better. Make your meat
Facts. Mo's dogs on Chipotle.
That's crazy. How many Mo's are around here? Oh, wait. They go out of business.
Gives a shit, isn't it?
That's because Chipotle's trendy. Oh, yeah. We got to get some Chipotle.
Put some guac on that for me, bitch.
Either way, just got done watching the U.S. game and not in the best mood, but we'll get into that later.
Sling, what have you been up to this weekend?
Watching baseball this weekend. Didn't go good for Mississippi State this weekend. They got swept by Arkansas. But
yikes, Florida got swept too. So what's up?
I can at least say I got to go to 2 baseball games this weekend. That was good. I went to the bars. I watched somebody set off a fire extinguisher, so that was pretty cool.
Dope.
Yeah.
Been watching March Madness.
Yo, didn't he write something on the wall too?
Yeah, he wrote he drew a dick and balls with a door.
Nice.
And he also wrote the word cock and poop. Nice. So, yeah.
What's in the water up there over there in Mississippi?
Alcohol.
Yeah, just straight alcohol. Just drunk 24/7 in that state, in the great state of Mississippi. All right. Anyways, what I did this weekend was I had work yesterday. Worked yesterday, and then been watching some footy, watching some March Madness. Obviously, like Jake said, just got done watching the U23s play, and nice little segue. Let's go ahead.
Hold on, wait. Sorry to interrupt the segue, but you've also been arguing with a lot of L Tritiates.
I mean, I might touch on them later. I don't know if I want to give them the time of day, to be honest with you. But I might bring them up later. I don't really feel like talking about El Tree though at the moment. I feel like focusing on the U.S. men's national team and starting it off, focusing more solely on the U23s. I guess you consider the U24s for this cycle since it was the Olympics were pushed back a year. And it's about an hour after the game ended. If we would have recorded this like right after the game ended, this would probably be even a little bit more emotionally charged. It's still gonna be fun. So strap in your seatbelts. It's still gonna be a nice little rant, nice little breakdown of the game. Not even to talk about the Mexico game from I think they played on Wednesday. It was a dead rubber match. I don't really think there's much difference between Honduras and Canada, who we would have played. Now looking back on it, maybe we would have rather played Canada. Yeah. But it was pretty much a dead rubber match. We lost 1-0 off of a mistake. Not really going to get too much into that because we got the job done before that. We set ourselves up in a good position to play today and win, and you're in. And for the third straight Olympic qualifying cycle, the U.S. Men's side has not qualified for the Olympic tournaments. Last time they qualified was back in 2008, 13 years ago. So we're just going to go ahead and get in that game. Let's break it down. Started in like kind of a chronological order. I thought very early from the beginning of the game, I thought that we looked slow. I thought that there was even a part of me that felt like the team looked disinterested, which is just completely wild in my opinion. Because I don't know if these kids realize that besides maybe 4 or 5 of them playing in the Olympics will have been the biggest chance they would have in their entire career to play for the U.S. men's national team.
Because shit aren't playing on our fucking
because they showed it today. They showed it today by not qualifying against Honduras. They showed that, look, they're not good enough for the senior team. They're not going to be playing in World Cup qualifiers. They're not going to be playing in the World Cup. Hell, they're probably not going to be playing in Gold Cups, competitions like that. So this was their opportunity to play on the biggest stage that they would have played in their entire career. And yet there was only a few guys on that pitch that I felt like actually wanted to win that game and were truly giving 100%. I can't fault Jackson Ewell for his effort. I can't fault Herrera for his effort either. Albeit, I really wish he put in some better balls into the box because, I mean, especially in that second half, he found himself over and over again in beautiful positions out wide to whip in balls into the box, and often they just weren't good enough. But at the end of the day, as a fan, I like to judge guys on kind of the effort that they give, and I thought that he gave all he could. Now talking about other guys on the pitch, I mean, I can't really think of another dude that looked like at the end of that game they gave everything they could and they went all out for that game. And that's the most disappointing part to me. Honduras deserved to win the game. Got the stats right here. Yes, we controlled the ball. We had 63% possession to 37% possession, but it's what you do with the ball. Honduras, they had 14 shots to our 8. They had 6 shots on target to our 2. So that's what matters right there. They created the better chances. They probably should have scored 3 goals. They had a chance to go up 3-0. When it was 2-0, they kind of shit the bed, and that would have really put the game away. But shortly after that, Ewell got his goal to get us back into the game, and we just weren't able to do it. I mean, we had a halfway decent chance with Jonathan Lewis. He had a header kind of cleared off the line, albeit I'm pretty sure the goalie was going to save it regardless. And then Jonathan Lewis at the end, he overran a cross. He was literally open for a tap into the back post, and he just kind of overran the cross and couldn't get his foot to wrap around it.
Let's not forget about the corner where we had an unmarked Johnny.
Yeah, and that was just with like 3 minutes left in the game, and he just completely.
That would have been another really good.
We had a few chances, but I mean, on a run of play, I think Honduras deserved to win that game. And once they knocked us out in 20, I believe that game was in 2015, and so they knocked us out again here. And the bottom line is this. I think, well, one, let me touch on this. At the end of the day, people are going to look back and say, well, if David Ochoa didn't make that mistake, we wouldn't have lost the game. And that might be true. We would technically be going into extra time at 1-1 and having a chance to win it there or eventually on penalties. But who knows? Maybe we lose at an extra time. Maybe we lose on penalties. Like I said, we did not deserve to win that game. David Ochoa has been one of our best players in this tournament. I'm not going to get overly upset at him. He shouldn't have done it. I was angry in the moment. There's no reason to make that pass. He had Justin Glad right next to him just for an easy slide it to him on the inside. And instead, he still tries to go to the outside when the angle's clearly cut off. I don't know why he's making that pass. But, individual mistakes happen. But overall, the performance just was not good enough. And this is my problem with it. It was a USA U23 C squad. And, it's not an A team. It's not even a B team. And honestly, it's maybe a borderline C team. It might even be more accurately represented as a C- squad. And, should that team be capable of beating Mexico's U23 team? No. Mexico has a better U23 team at the Olympic qualifiers than we do. However, is that team capable of beating Honduras? The answer is absolutely yes. Those Honduran players, they had a couple players, I believe, that play in the MLS, and the rest of them play in the Honduran league. Our entire team is based off of pretty much all MLS players. The MLS is a better league than the Honduran league. There's no excuse for those players that were out on that pitch to not be able to qualify for the Olympics. Now, if that group of players went to the Olympics, I would have probably expected them to lose probably all 3 games in the group stage and get knocked out. And that's why, hopefully would have brought better players and to help cope with that and put in a better performance in the Olympics. But that C squad, that C team was good enough to beat Honduras. It's good enough to beat any team in those Olympic qualifiers, bar Mexico. And that's the biggest problem I have. It's another complete failure for the U.S. men's national team at a U23 level. We do have a great, promising future. There's no denying that. I'm not going to let this get in the way, and no logical U.S. men's national team fan should let it get in the way. You look at the guys that played earlier today, which we'll talk about that in a second. We have some very young, talented players that are U23 eligible, just weren't at these games. So the future is still very bright, but I mean, the U.S. men's national team should be at the Olympics. I don't care if we put out our A squad. I don't care if we put out our C squad. They should be capable of qualifying for the Olympics. And, just a complete failure once again. And we've just been taking L's in the last 5-6 years as national team fans. We didn't qualify for the Olympics in 2015. Well, for the 2016 Olympics, we didn't qualify for the World Cup in 2018. We lost the Gold Cup final to Mexico a couple years ago, and now this. So we're just hoping and praying for a W to come along the way at some point. But it's yet another L for the U.S. men's national team today.
Yeah, it sucks that we couldn't qualify, but I mean, even if we do, I don't even see us getting a medal based on that last performance, and
I don't even see us making the knockout stage.
Yeah, no way. But it also sucks because we have so many guys that are under 23 that couldn't participate. So it's like, oh, the USA didn't qualify again. Well, it's not because we don't have the players to do it. It's because we were playing kind of with what we were allowed to have, and we weren't allowed to have guys that could have easily beat Honduras by multiple goals. And I don't know, it's like, yeah, we have guys that are everywhere in Europe and making a difference there and actually playing on our senior team, but at the same time it's like we can't qualify for that because they're not going to be playing in this tournament. So
yeah,
it just kind of sucks. But
and I mean, I get that argument, but at the same time, it's still the guys we had should have been good enough to qualify.
I completely agree with
now, that. If we would have qualified, I hope we would have brought some of those dudes from Europe over to play in the actual Olympics because that team was clearly not good enough to actually do anything in the Olympic tournament. But
it was hard to watch.
Another thing that I didn't actually realize, Alexi Lawless, he's very passionate. He played for the U.S. men's national team for years. He's a announcer and analyst at Fox now. And after the game, they had him in the studio, and he had a nice little had a nice little kind of a rant. He tried to hold back a little bit, but he was talking about the situation. And I did not know that there was because I know the situation, right? Like these clubs over in Europe, they have no incentive to release these players to go play in Olympic qualifiers, especially when they're in season right now. I mean, I'm not even talking about like a Christian Pulisic. Why would RB Salzburg want to release an Aronson? Yeah. Why would Barnsley want to release a DK? Because all that happens is, one, they're going to be taken away from games they could play for their club, so that hurts that club. And then two, they could come to play an Olympic qualifier, so they could get injured. Something like that could happen to them. So it doesn't give them any incentive to release those players to go play for another nation. Yeah. However, the MLS. I just found this out that apparently Alexi Lawless brought it up. Apparently, the MLS, there was clubs in the MLS that did not release players for this tournament because obviously FIFA it's not mandated for you to release players, and that's honestly that might be the thing I'm most pissed off about right now because you look at Mexico. All of their top young players that play in Liga MX are on that U23 roster, and if they aren't, they're with the senior team playing friendlies right now. They didn't hold back any players. So if the MLS, if that's true, and I'm sure it's true because I'm sure Alexi Lawless knows what he's talking about. If that's true, that's a fucking disgrace in my opinion. Like I said, there's no incentive for a team from England to release their player to go play for the U.S. Doesn't help them at an international level at all. It can only really hurt them, to be honest with you. But for the MLS, you work with the same soccer federation, and those are homegrown talents. The MLS is really, I mean, it's there. Obviously, it's a profitable organization. They want to make money and all, but not only they're not even in their season. They are in preseason right now. They're not even in season, which that makes it even worse. So whichever MLS clubs decided not to release their players for this tournament, that's a disgrace. And you are partly to blame for this situation that we're in. And I can't wrap my head around that. That makes no sense in my opinion, because you would think that they'd want to see U.S. soccer grow on an international level. And, if you're holding back some of our better players from the MLS that could have played in these qualifiers, who knows? Maybe this is a different result. Maybe we're celebrating in this pod right now if they release those guys for this game. So I just wanted to touch on that as well. It's pretty much gloom for those kids. Like I said, it's their opportunity to play in the biggest stage that they would have played in their entire career. There's only a few guys on that team, in my opinion, that are going to play in meaningful games for the senior national team, and it's a big missed opportunity for those guys. It's the potential to play on a big stage, and for those guys that are fringe, don't look like they'd be able to play for the senior national team at the moment. They could go to the Olympics and play great, and then all of a sudden they are in the picture for the men's national team. Yeah. So it's a big missed opportunity for those guys. It's a big missed opportunity for U.S. soccer overall. And to wrap it up, I just kind of wanted to go over. Is there any kind of guys that maybe did themselves some good in this tournament? I think there's plenty of guys that did themselves some bad. Yeah. Do you have any guys that maybe they might have done something to show? I
guess I'll just go kind of in order from goalie up. Well, outside of today's game, Ochoa looked really good in the tournament. Mm-hmm. But if you can't have those mental lapses. I mean, you can say, he could have saved that first shot that went in. It was tough. It was fast. Tough. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that one. That's a tough save. But you can't. In the situation that you're in, especially when you're already down one and it's hard to score with this team, you cannot be making those mistakes to even dig the hole even further. I mean, you're the goalie. You're kind of the heart of that team. Like, you're the one solid player that has looked just good the entire tournament, and then you turn around and do that. I mean, that's inexcusable. But other than this game, he looked really solid this tournament. Back line, I'm not going to lie, the center backs didn't really impress me. Sam Vines is probably the one guy that I could see maybe being like a solid depth player at the senior level.
I was expecting him to do more this tournament because I've seen him play with the national team a few times in friendlies, and he's looked pretty good. And I was expecting him to do more. He didn't do anything today. Like I said, there was two guys, in my opinion, that actually tried to take the game by the scruff of the neck and try to actively do something and give their all, and that was Herrera and Yule. And Herrera, I don't think projects well at the next level either. And unfortunately for him, we're stacked right back anyways, so it doesn't bode well for him. But I'm disappointed in the way Sam Vines played. I think he still has a future. Right now, if we had to make a World Cup qualifying squad, you could argue him for being the backup left back because, who else do we have behind Anthony Robinson? We really don't, besides putting a right back at left back. Yeah. But based on Sam Vines' performance in this World Cup qualifiers, I'd rather them call in Dest, Cannon, and Yedlin, or Dest, Cannon, and Reynolds, and then just play, use one of those three right backs as the backup left back. Because, I thought that he was just average. I thought that he has a hell of a lot more quality than he showed in this Olympic qualifiers. In my opinion, I don't know if it changes much, but if I had to say, I would say his stock is maybe going down at this moment in time.
Yeah. Well, really on the back line, that's about it. The only guy. In the midfield, Dotson surprised me this tournament. I never even heard of him.
I'm in the same boat.
And he came out and actually looked like a solid player. That
it's rough because for me, Ochoa and Dotson were the biggest winners.
Yeah.
And they both. Ochoa had the big mistake, and then Dotson apparently was harboring an injury. So I don't know how much I don't know how much we can put into that, but he didn't do anything this game either. But and maybe because he was hurt, I'm gonna not really look into his performance as much. But I'd say he's probably the one guy for me that his stock has really gone up because, like you, I'd never even heard of him. I have to be honest, I don't really follow the MLS that closely. I follow what the Americans are doing in the MLS, especially our young players. But as a whole, I don't have a favorite MLS team. I don't particularly enjoy watching the MLS, so I never heard of the guy. And from what I read and heard when he was called up into the camp, he was more of a utility guy. Like, he was a guy that could play on the wing. He could play right back if you needed him to play there, and then he could play in the midfield. And I thought he was probably our best midfielder in the tournament. So he's one guy, one of the very few that can hold his head high from this tournament. And I do hope that he gets a call up into the senior camp at some point soon.
Yeah, and then I thought Yule was solid.
Yeah, but that's it for him.
Yeah.
He's just that's what he is. He's just solid. He's not going to
above that.
Although he did score a fantastic goal.
Yeah,
but
that was class. That was a sick goal.
But the thing is, for Yule, he's kind of unlike Herrera, and then kind of like Vines. He's in a position where for the U.S. we're thin at left back and we're thin at that number 6 position, that CDM spot. It's Tyler Adams and who? I guess Kellen Acosta was playing it for him, playing in that spot for the friendlies recently, but I think
if need be, you could maybe put Weston back there.
Yeah,
that's who's.
I think I really like his ability to go attack. So I'd much rather have him in the 8. But I think Yule might benefit from the fact that we're thin at that number 6 position. So, but I don't think his stock necessarily went up or down. I can't fault him. I thought that he was a captain. He was leading by example. Showing some fire. He was the one that wanted to get on the ball and try and start attacks.
Yeah, even though he was just solid, it looked like he wanted to win that game. Unlike the other 9,
he was taking initiative, whereas the other guys, they almost were kind of hiding.
Yeah, and he was showing emotion. He was pissed that we were down 2-0, which every player should have been. But but yeah, outside of that, and then Herrera, that's really
is there anybody? I don't think there's a single forward that stock down, in my opinion. Sebastian Soto. I thought that he was horrendous this tournament. He gave away the ball that gave Mexico the win in the last match. He came on in this game. He did absolutely nothing. He lost the ball a few times while trying to hold the ball up. I thought Jesus Ferreira was poor. He got the goal in the first game against Costa Rica, and I was hoping, okay, you kick on, have a nice tournament. Didn't do anything past then. I think that he struggles. I think he would be a hell of a lot better in a team that actually created things, just because I think he feels like when he plays in a team like that U23 side, he feels like he has to come back and create it on his own. Whereas if he plays for a team that has, creative players around him, he'd do a lot better. And then I wasn't particularly excited about the wingers in the first place. Saucedo did nothing for me. Mihailovic did nothing for me. Jonathan Lewis, I think his stock is going down. I thought he was really poor this tournament. And yeah, so I mean, 3 guys? Is that what we said? And really, no, 4, but we really only said 2 of them have their stock going up, and that's Ochoa and Dotson. And Ochoa kind of hurt his stock a little bit today.
Yeah.
But, one-off mistakes happen every now and then, as long as it doesn't become a consistent thing. It happened at a very, very important, big moment. So people are going to obviously going to remember that, but individual mistakes do happen. And then I guess, just by default, Sam Vines and Jackson Ewell are going to be in the senior national team picture just because we're so thin at those positions.
Yeah, they were just kind of steady.
Yeah, and so that's 4 guys. 4 guys from this roster. I think Jesus Ferreira will be in the picture, but the problem with him is he's a number 9, and we just saw in these recent friendlies some very good number 9 play from other guys that are in Europe playing ball. And so, with that being said, enough talk about the U23s.
To some positive vibes.
Enough doom and gloom. We'll leave that as it is. Extreme disappointment, extreme failure. But it's time to segue in to the senior side. They played 2 friendlies this past week. We'll break them down game by game, and then we'll kind of, like we did with U23s, we'll give our stock up, stock down for that situation. So we'll start with the Jamaica game, a 4-1 win. I saw some people saying that the scoreline kind of flattered us, which I don't really agree. I know we scored twice later in the game, but if you look at that game, we had 30 shots. We completely dominated. We should have scored 7 or 8, really. Yeah. And so I don't think that scoreline flatters us at all.
I think that probably represents the game pretty well.
Exactly. If there was an XG, expected goals, I'm sure it'd probably be close to 4-1. Yeah. And actually, I think Jamaica would be below 1 because their goal they scored was actually a really good goal, really difficult finish chip over the goalie. But let's kind of start it in, we went with I think it was pretty much a 4-3-3. I went with goalie, obviously, and then a back 4 of Cannon at right back. Aaron Long was playing center back next to John Brooks, and then Des was playing left back. And then we had our number 6 was Kellen Acosta, and then our 2 number 8s were Yunus Musa and Sebastian Leggett. And then up top we had Pulisic out wide left, Reyna out wide right, and then Sargent down the middle. I think bar a few players, that's probably our strongest lineup.
Dude, that Des Pulisic connection on that left side,
nice. 30. The only thing I have is that I feel like we are better. I feel like our best 2 fullbacks are Robinson and Des, though. So, because I will say, I think a lot of stocks went up in that Jamaican game. I think one player's stock went down, and that was Reggie Cannon. I don't think he was very good in that game. He was partial to blame for the goal. There was multiple times he was out wide and good opportunities on a 2v1 overlap on a Jamaican defender. He just put in terrible balls into the box that easily got cleared. But, a good performance overall. We got, a goal before halftime, and we came out in the second half, got another goal to make it 2-0. Obviously, Jamaica got that counterattack and scored, a really good goal by Jamaica. Kind of wish Stefan would have saved it. But it's a really good finish regardless. And then Sebastian Leggett got his 2 goals later on. And it's kind of funny. I don't have a problem with Sebastian Leggett, really. I think he's one of those just steady Eddies in the team. I think he does a job. But I saw a lot of people, and I thought he was fairly poor in the first half against Jamaica. and I I even tweeted from my personal account, take him off at halftime or whatever because he was single handedly killing our attacks.
Yeah,
And then he comes out in the second half. He comes out in the second half and scores 2 goals. So
Chat shit.
I mean, hey, he's just undeniably productive. I mean, I'm gonna if we had a World Cup qualifying match tomorrow, I would not be upset at seeing him in the starting lineup. I mean, I wouldn't be excited, I wouldn't be jumping for joy, but I would not be upset at all seeing him in the starting lineup. Did you catch? I know you weren't you working.
Yeah,
Did you catch any highlights though of that game?
Yeah, I watched all the highlights, but the one thing that they don't show in the highlights is like a lot of just kind of
overall play.
I wanted to ask you because I saw some people saying that John Brooks looked iffy.
Okay, so what they're saying basically is John Brooks is known really well as like a great passer of the ball, and he was like shaky passing the ball. There was one instance where obviously he's playing left-sided center back, being left-footed, and he tried to play a diagonal, I believe, to Cannon across the field, and he just hit it and never got like 4 feet off the ground. It just went directly to a Jamaica player, and they sprung on a counterattack. And then he had a couple of passes where he just passed it out of bounds. But he defended well. He was fine defensively. It's just, from a passing standpoint, he didn't really seem to have his best game. But, I mean, he's still by far – I mean, he's one of the first names in the team sheet for us. He's definitely the number one center back. But, yeah, my standout performance for that game were Dest, obviously. That goal. Whew. I mean, he's a top 5 right back in the world, in my opinion, even though he's playing left back in that game. I can't name 5 right backs that are better than him, to be honest with you. I think he's been playing brilliant for Barcelona the last few weeks, and he carried it over into the national team. So really, really nice goal. Just a really good performance overall. He is disgusting on the ball.
Yeah.
Like I thought Pulisic might have been our best dribbler, and I think we have some really good dribblers in the squad, like Reyna as well. Musa carries the ball very well as well. But I think Dest might be the best dribbler on the team. That's kind of crazy that a fullback is maybe your best carrier of the ball. Did you see that clip that he basically just like sauced between like 4 Jamaican players at one time? It was pretty dirty. But he was definitely the standout performer in that game for me. I think he won man of the match. Like I said, I think Reggie Cannon was probably the only dude that I can look at and say he had a poor game. I don't think he played very well. He didn't help his case. He didn't really help that case of, okay, let's play Sergiño Dest at left back because we need to play Cannon at right back. Yeah. If you know what I mean. Like that, for me, I would rather see Dest at right back and Robinson at left back, which we did see in the next game. We'll get into that in a second. But I thought Reyna was pretty good in that game. He's just – what people forget too, and I even forget it sometimes, he's still only 18 years old. He's just so naturally comfortable on the ball. And yes, he probably should have scored 2 or 3 goals that game, but that's something when you're so young. I mean, he's going to have plenty of time to work on that. Yeah. And he's just so silky and he gets in and out of, his cuts and everything while dribbling. That you can't get the ball off of him. He's so strong on the ball, but at the same time, he's got like a decisive like quickness about him. Because he's pretty good size. He's not like a smaller stature like Pulisic and I guess Dest. Those quicker dudes, but he's still got like a little bit of a
decent frame.
Yeah, and he just holds the ball really well. So I thought he had a really good game. For me, I think, which I saw some guys talking about it today about DK because he came on and played against Northern Ireland. But for me, I think the performance from Josh Sargent kind of, in my mind at least, solidified him as our number 9. I think he maybe lacks a little bit in goals, but what he does off the ball, his hold-up play is incredible. His link-up play is brilliant. You can see that he's improved so much on that at Werder Bremen because he has to do that for Werder Bremen because they're so terrible at creating chances. Yeah. So he has to go out and try and create chances on his own.
Which honestly, I am very okay with.
Yeah, because we have other guys that can score.
He's creating it for. You have Pulisic, you have Reyna, you have Musa, Weah when he comes in.
You'll have McKinney behind him as well.
Yeah, McKinney. I mean, like, you've got players.
Even Dest at right back, he shows that he can score. So
he's going to be holding that ball up for quality players that can put it in the net.
Yeah, and actually for Brendan Aronson's goal, that made it, I think it was 2-0 at the time, which, by the way, shout out to him. He played really good in that game, too, when he came on for Pulisic. If I'm being honest, I think he was probably better than Pulisic in that game when he came off the bench. But Sargent, he had like a really good hold-up play from Aronson. I think the pass was in from Aronson, and he held the ball up, and he kind of like shook his defender. He acted like he was going to go inside and then shook him to the outside and slotted the ball across for Aronson for a goal. So, yeah, I think Sargent, while I wish – a part of me wishes that he was a little bit better at, scoring. I feel like he maybe doesn't get himself in those positions all the time to score, but I think he's so good at everything else. And we have goals that can come from other parts of the pitch, so I don't necessarily think we need like in the past we needed a Clint Dempsey, we needed a Landon Donovan, we needed when Josie Altidore was on form, we needed that kind of player to score goals because those were really our only goal scorers.
Yeah.
Whereas right now you have goal scorers on other parts of the pitch. So I like the way Josh Sargent played, and for me, he's our number 9 going forward. And then carrying over into the next game, we started a little bit different team. We started a back 3 this game. I believe it was a 3-4-2-1. We basically played, obviously, the 3 center backs, which were Long, Miazga, and Tim Ream. In goal was Zach Steffen again. And then at right wing back and left wing back, it was Serginho Dest and Anthony Robinson. The 2 number 6s, the 2 holding midfielders, were Musa and Kellen Acosta. And then it looked like kind of 2 cams because they were tucking in while the wingbacks were overlapping. That was Pulisic and Gio Reyna, and then up top was Jordan Sabachu. He got his full national team debut from the start. He came off the bench in the prior game, but I thought we played decent. I liked the performance against Jamaica a little bit better. One thing I did notice is that Northern Ireland, albeit you look on paper, I thought the Jamaican squad might actually be on paper a little bit better than Northern Ireland squad, but they pressed us a lot more. You saw when we got the ball against Jamaica, we had time to turn, look for a pass. Whereas against Northern Ireland, it was you better get the ball and pass immediately. You better know what you're doing before you get the ball. So I thought that provided us a little bit more of a challenge. I don't think that their pitch helped very much. They had a terrible pitch. The ball was bouncing every single bounce. It was going up and down on that choppy pitch. So that didn't really help our style of play. Some standout performers in that game. I thought Pulisic was really, really good. He got his goal, obviously, off of a penalty. He earned it, and then he scored it. Not the greatest penalty in the world, but a good penalty is a penalty that's put in the back of the net, so he did his job there. And then Gio Reyna scored a goal as well. Pretty fortunate. Looked like it was going directly at the goalie, and then just deflected right over the top of the goalie. And then we gave up a freaking absolute screamer at the end of that game to Northern Ireland, like the 88th minute, that ruined the clean sheet, but you put your hands up when the guy scores a goal like that. And so they get the 2-1 victory, and really good mood coming out of that camp. And unfortunately, it was ruined by the U23s later on today. But at least that camp in general had some good performances. I know you really only caught the highlights because of work and everything, and so I'm going to give I'll give my stock up, stock down. Just kind of starting from the back. Zach Steffen. Now I was going to get on here a few hours ago. I was telling myself I'm going to get on here and I'm going to say, look, I wouldn't be against David Ochoa getting some run as number 1 for the U.S. men's national team. And I still wouldn't be too much against that. But, after what he did today in the U23s, I don't know, maybe give Steffen some more time. I thought he was a little shaky. I think it was a great goal by the Jamaican player, the chip over him. But from that angle to get chipped and put in the back of the net, I feel like he should be saving that. He did make another like 1 or 2 nice saves against Jamaica, to be fair. Now, the goal today against Northern Ireland, if I'm being really nitpicky, maybe I wish he reacted a little bit quicker. But, I mean, the dude hit it 100 miles per hour right over his head. So there's not a ton you can do about that. But for me, Zach Steffen, he's just kind of steady. He's not neither stock up nor stock down for me. He still is the number 1 going forward. And then we look stock up, stock down at the right back position. I guess you could say stock up for Serginho Dest, but I mean, he's been our starter. He's going to continue to be our starter, so I'm not going to get into that too much. Reggie Cannon stock down for me. I thought that he was poor, and I think it might be time to start moving past him. Now, I'm not saying I'm still with him on the roster. I'm okay with that. But, the reason Reggie Cannon has been getting so much game time and playing so much, for the past couple of years for the U.S. is because of the couple performances he put in the Gold Cup in 2019. And that's almost 2 years ago now. And I don't think he's put in a performance like that since. And so I don't know how long we can continue to play him and just hope, he's going to find that Gold Cup form again. For me, I want our fullbacks to be Dest and Robinson. And I thought Brian Reynolds came on today in like the last 30 minutes of the game against Northern Ireland. He got his national team debut, and he did more in those 30 minutes than Reggie Cannon did in the entire game against Jamaica. I thought Brian Reynolds, he looked really good. And for me right now, if I had to make a roster, I mean, I'd probably put Reynolds as the backup right back. He just showed more to me. He looked better. His end product was a little bit better than Reggie Cannon's. So that's stock down for Cannon for me, and then stock up for Reynolds at the center back position. Nothing really changes for me. I was hoping I'd come on here and say stock up for Chris Richards. He didn't really do anything for me that, he didn't do anything bad, but he didn't do anything for me like, oh, wow, look at that incredible athleticism, or look at this 40-yard pass that he sprayed, or, look at him bossing that, the defense. He didn't really have a moment like that. If we had a World Cup qualifier tomorrow, I wouldn't be upset at Aaron Long starting over him. That's just for me. And then left back, I think stock up for Anthony Robinson. I thought he played really well today against Northern Ireland. He was bombing up and down that left-hand side. Probably should have scored. He was played through and took a bad touch off of his knee. But at the same time, I think that might have had something to do with the fact that the pitch was just completely terrible. And so I'm not going to get too upset about that. And then he put a nice ball across the 6-yard box earlier in the game. There's no striker on the end of it, which was a little bit unfortunate. But I think for me, his stock goes up based on not only his performance, but the fact that Cannon just didn't perform very well. So that kind of goes up, because of those two things. And then moving into the midfield, bottom line is, regardless of what some of these guys did, when Weston McKennie and Tyler Adams are back in the squad, they're going to be starting. They're shoe-ins to the lineup, regardless. And so really it's just that other spot up for grabs. I think Musa did enough to wrap that up. He officially, even though he announced that he's a U.S. men's national team player, the rule is if you play 4 friendly matches, that counts as being cap tied. You can only play 3 before announcing a switch. And he played his 4th friendly match today, so he is officially tied to the U.S. men's national team. I thought he was fantastic today. I mean, he's like a guy he reminds me a little bit of Reyna, except, a midfield version of him. He just carries the ball. Like, you cannot get the ball off of him. And I think he brings a little bit of his little Arsenal pedigree back, with him, just the way that, you play in possession, the way that you keep the ball. I think he's brought that over to him in Spain now with Valencia. And he plays as a winger for Valencia. But, I mean, I think his long-term future for the U.S. men's national team is as a number 8, maybe a number 10. But I like the way he looks at it in the midfield as a box-to-box midfielder. So I think his stock has definitely gone up. If you would have asked me after the Jamaica game, I would have told you Kellen Acosta is our backup number 6. He's our backup for Tyler Adams, because I thought he was really good. He played well. He was brilliant against Jamaica. He was linking possession between the back line and the midfield and forwards. He was getting the ball, turning past guys, dribbling past guys. He was taking set pieces, putting in some good balls off of set pieces.
I heard he had a really, really good first half, and then I heard in the second half he just kind of was.
What, against Jamaica?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe a little bit, but I just feel like the game wasn't revolving around him as much in the second half, so he might have faded off a little bit. But I thought he looked really good in the Jamaica game, and then I thought he looked absolutely awful today in the Northern Ireland game. So that for me is backup for grabs. That backup for Tyler Adams. I don't know who it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be Acosta. I don't know if it's going to be Jackson Ewell. I don't know if, like you said, Weston McKennie moves into that spot. I think Musa could do a job in that spot as well. I wouldn't be against him moving in that spot and then playing, McKennie and Leggett as those number 8s. But I'm not too sure about that spot anymore. His stock kind of stays the same for me. I know I'm going to say he goes up, because when they released that roster, I was a little bit confused of him being on the roster when we have some other midfielders in Europe that could have been called into the camp. But I think he did enough in that Jamaica game to show his quality, and maybe he just had a bad game today against Northern Ireland. And like I said, that pitch was really bad, so some of his misplaced passes and touches might have been as a result of that. But then again, those are the type of pitches we're going to be playing against in World Cup qualifying against some of these Central American and Caribbean teams. So it's something he's got to get used to and something that he's got to get better at. But so I mean, his stock is up, but it's up a little bit, not too much. In the midfield as well, another person whose stock is up for me. Did you hear about Luca de la Torre, the way that he played?
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyways, he came on the last 30 minutes or so of the Jamaica game. Thought he was really good. He's another guy. It's so nice having this, because when we used to think of American players in the past, we used to think of, hard-nosed, tough, gritty players, decent athletes, but, they definitely aren't the most, technically sound. They'll get in a scrap with you, they'll get in a fight with you, but they're not going to, nutmeg you and dribble past you and everything. But Luca de la Torre he's exactly the opposite of, the typical American footballer. He's really good on the ball. He's really good at carrying the ball forward. He played a part in one of the goals against Jamaica, and then when he came on today, he was just once again really good. Even on that rough pitch, he was still dribbling past guys, linking play with forwards. In my opinion, he's a guy that if we had to announce a World Cup qualifier tomorrow, I want him to be on that roster and I don't want him to start. But he's a guy that you can bring off the bench.
Good depth.
And yeah, he's someone that's going to do some things for you. And I remember watching him in I believe it was a U20 or U19 World Cup, like maybe 3 years ago. And he was one of those players that was really good in that World Cup. And I just hadn't seen anything from him since. He's kind of just been lost down the pecking order. And he obviously plays with Heracles or Heracles and the Dutch league. And, got a call up. And I think he fully took advantage of his opportunity. For me, he's one of the guys that improved his stock the most. I think a part of him being called up might have just been like, we don't have that many options. We're just going to call him up to see how he does. And I think he fully took advantage of that call up and should be called up in future camps. And then moving on into the forwards, Brendan Aronson, 100% stock up. I'd kind of been following him ever since he moved to Salzburg, and he's played very well for them. He carried it into the national team. He got his goal. Just played really, really well. He reminds me a little bit of Pulisic. He's very good on the ball. The only complaint I have about Aronson is that he seems to get bullied off the ball a little bit. He's very small. Which one thing, Pulisic is a smaller dude, but he doesn't get bullied off the ball that much because he's very good at using his body in tight spaces. I think Aronson needs to work on that. But I was very impressed with him. His stock is definitely up in my opinion. And then like I said, Josh Sargent for me. I think his stock is up because I think we might have had an idea that maybe he's the number 9, but for me, he solidified it with his performance against Jamaica. Albeit DK did play very well against Northern Ireland. He's just a beast. DK, like you watch him play, he reminds you so much of a young Josie Altidore. Let's hope and pray that it comes without the injuries. But he's a freak athlete. And if he works on his technical ability, which I'm sure he'll get that in England, he could become a top player for years to come. And I could see him possibly overtaking Sargent at some point because I think that he just has, ceiling-wise, he probably has a higher ceiling than Sargent does. So, that's my stock up, stock down. I don't know. I kind of wanted to ask, between me and you, what would be your, we have World Cup qualifiers coming up in the summer. As of right now, assuming everyone's healthy, what would be your starting 11 for that World Cup qualifier?
Probably keep Stefan in goal. Dest and Robinson at the wing backs. Brooks and I guess either Long or Miazga at center back, and then whoever doesn't start, the other one is backup, and then Chris Richards is also at a backup. And then Tyler Adams at that CDM, McKinney, and then probably maybe Musa, and the other one in the midfield, and then Pulisic at left wing. I would say Reyna at probably right wing, and then I don't know, Sargent or DK at striker. It'd be one of those two. But I would also say because Weah didn't get to play, and I really think that he's improved as well.
Yeah, I really wish he was able to play in this because I wanted to see him.
Because I would like him at right wing too.
Because I feel like we have certain players like Reyna, like Musa, even Sargent. I think maybe just it's a German thing, like guys that have played in Germany. Like they're good in tight spaces, like turning around, carrying the ball and not losing the ball. But I feel like Weah is just he can skill past people. Like he'll nutmeg. He's kind of like Dest, to be honest. Except he can
pace.
Fly. Yeah, he can completely fly up and down the wing. And so I feel like that's something that we really don't have in the squad. I guess he might be a little bit similar to Pulisic, but he's a better athlete than Pulisic. Now Pulisic's better at other things than him. But yeah, I was looking forward to seeing him, and then obviously he didn't make the camp because of COVID restrictions. So hopefully he gets called in the summer.
Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I honestly wouldn't mind if we had him. I wouldn't mind seeing him at right wing and then Gio at that 9. I could see him being
like a striker.
Yeah.
Nah, I can't see that. I think what Gio, what he lacks is finishing. And I think he's got to have that then if he's playing at number 9. I'd be a little bit worried about our goal scoring in that case. I think he's just someone that you almost waste him a little bit as number 9 because I think he's so good on the ball that you want to get the ball into his feet and help him, have him create for his teammates. So, if anything, I'd maybe see him, push him. If we're playing a team like, in World Cup qualifying, we play like a Panama or Jamaica. I wouldn't mind him being us playing like a 4-2-3-1 with a cam, and I wouldn't mind Gio at the cam position and then way out wide. But yeah, no, I couldn't really see him at the number 9. But for me, my lineup would be it's very similar to yours. I think it might actually be the exact same. It's if we're playing Mexico, this is my lineup. We're playing a 4-3-3. With a number 6, a holding mid, and you have Stefan in goal, Dest at right back, Robinson at left back. I will say I think both of them are probably best suited to being fullback, like wing backs.
Yeah.
Right wing back, left wing back. But I think overall as a team, we're best suited to playing a 4-back and not a 5-back or a 3-back. Because I think today we showed like a little bit of lack of creativity playing with a 3-back just because it takes one midfielder away from you.
Yeah.
And so I feel like in the majority of the games in CONCACAF, besides Mexico, every single other game we play, we're going to have the majority of the play. So, we're going to be on the front foot. And so I would rather see a 4-back. My center backs are of course, John Brooks. I'd start Aaron Long. I think Aaron Long is like it. I don't know if New York Red Bulls are just being really stingy with him and like just refusing to sell him because he's to me, he's a Premier League caliber player in my opinion. Like he could go to a side like I don't know, Crystal Palace and start and play for them because one, he's physical. He's a big dude. He's physical. He's good in the air. That suits the Premier League. And number 2, he's athletic. He doesn't lack pace. He's an athletic dude. And overall, he reads the game pretty well, in my opinion. I think if there's anywhere he can grow on that, it would be that. But I think he would benefit from playing in England and learning how to read the game a little bit better. But he's 27 now or something like that.
Yeah.
So he still could make the move and play there for a few years. I think Jeff Cameron didn't make the move over to England for a while until he was like in his late 20s, and then he played almost 10 years in England. I think he's still playing for Stoke City. He's playing somewhere in England still, and he's like in his late 30s. So, I do want to see him make that move to England. But yeah, for right now, if we played a World Cup qualifier tomorrow, I would want him to start. I was hoping I would say Richards, but he just didn't necessarily do enough for me. I kind of feel more comfortable with the experience of Aaron Long in that spot. Midfield is pretty much self-explanatory. It's obviously Adams at the 6, Weah at the 8, and then I thought Musa pretty much wrapped up that other number 8 spot.
McKinney? No, Weah.
Oh yeah, McKinney. I don't know why I said Weah, but yeah, Adams at the 6, McKinney at the 8, and then I thought Musa wrapped up that other number 8 spot. These past 2 games where he looked really, really good. A very young midfield, a very promising midfield for the future. And then up top, I would go with Pulisic, Sargent, and Reyna. I wouldn't be upset if DK started, and I wouldn't be upset if Weah started. Although I think that's kind of just me expecting things to happen because Weah hasn't really done much on the international level. So
that's what I was saying. It's like I would like to see Weah start.
I need to see him.
I wouldn't want to see Reyna on the bench.
Yeah, I've seen more from Reyna in a men's national team jersey than I have seen from Weah. So I would be much more comfortable Reyna starting. Would love to see Weah come off the bench in a big game and put in a performance. Or I think we do have a friendly against Switzerland next month, so hopefully he can be called into that, and which that'll be a big test.
Yeah.
We're on like a good winning streak now. I think we're undefeated in our last 9 games or something like that. We've won 8 and drawn 1. The one draw against Wales in November, and but the best team we played in that time span was Wales. So, and we drew that game. Albeit, I remember that performance. We played pretty well. We probably should have won. And we didn't lose to Wales like Mexico did. But anyways, yeah. So I would like to see Weah in that camp and maybe get a start because I think that'll tell us where we really are. Because Switzerland they're probably a top 10 nation right now. I think they actually are top 10 in the FIFA rankings. So that would be a good test. But yeah, going forward, I'm regardless of what happened with the U23s today, I'm excited about the future of the men's national team. Not everything's doom and gloom. I know it feels like that right now because of the Olympic debacle. I would have loved to watch them play in the Olympics. I know Pulisic, Musa, guys like that, they said they wanted to play in the Olympics, and maybe their clubs would have released them because it would have been in preseason. It wouldn't have actually been in season when the Olympics was going on. So we missed out on that opportunity, but hey, we're going to get to see those guys play in the men's national team jersey for 10 plus years to come. So really looking forward to that. And I think they have the one more tune-up game against Switzerland before they get into a crazy busy summer of obviously we have the Nations League semifinals, and then that would move into the finals after that, and then the Gold Cup happens this summer, and then most importantly, World Cup qualifiers begin this summer, and those are the big ones. We cannot take another L. We cannot take one more L in that. We can't go from not qualifying for the Olympics to not qualifying for the World Cup to not qualifying for the Olympics to then again not qualifying for the World Cup. Like, please,
Lord above, please just let all of our players stay healthy. Please.
Like,
that's all I ask.
Can I get a hot tub?
That's facts.
Yeah.
Can I get a damn hot tub?
Nice to see you're still alive, Slee. All right. Anyways, we said this podcast was going to be very, very much U.S. men's national team based. And for the first very large portion of it, it was. But looking forward to the future of the U.S. men's national team. Definitely showed some exciting, young, promising players over this past week with the senior team camp, not the U23s. Anyways, so before we move on to, like we said, we're going to give our Premier League all-time best 11. We got to give our weekly – this is an unorthodox podcast. We're not doing our normal schedule of going over Premier League games, but we are throwing in a normal schedule of our Sling Speaks segment. Sling, what do you got for us this week?
Talk to me, Sling.
So we've been pretty active on Twitter here recently. Lots of El Tridiot bashing and slander.
El Tridiots.
Some El Tridiots coming in the DMs and everything. And just an open message to all the El Tridiots out there who think that shit's sweet over on this side of the border.
No, what's funny, Sling, is that they are all on this side of the border. Except they've been born and raised in the U.S., and yet they root for Mexico. And guess what? When the U.S. is better than Mexico, which I think we are right now, but when it's proved in a couple of years because of all the good young talent we have, guess who they'll be fans of then? They'll be fans of the U.S. men's national team. So
it's just shit's real sweet until it's not. So all the old Tridiots out there, if you want it, come run up. You know where we're at.
All right.
If you want to stay in my DMs, you can come
run
up.
IRL, just on social media.
Nah, in real life too. We're back over here. We're clueless, but we ain't fucking stupid.
Sure.
We ain't no bitches.
We may be clueless, but we ain't no bitches.
We ain't no bitches.
That's the name of the pod. All right. Anyways, let's get right back into it. I'll probably put like a timestamp in the description. So welcome back to all of our listeners that tune in for the Premier League, to all of our listeners across the pond that really don't give a shit about the U.S. men's national team. Welcome back to the pod. We didn't want to just have a full pod of non-PL talk this week. That would seem kind of off kilter. And so we wanted to use this international break, as an opportunity to give our Premier League all-time best 11. And there's a little bit of a stipulation just to make it a little bit more interesting because there are some very obvious players, and I think our 11s might have been the exact same, barring maybe one or two guys, if we just went a straight all-time 11. So there is a stipulation. We can only use 2 players from each team. Now, obviously, there are certain guys that played for multiple teams. You can use that certain version of them. So, you can, for example, like Ashley Cole played. He was very good for Arsenal. He was very good for Chelsea. You can use one of those 2 versions. That way you don't go over your 2 players per team max there. So you want to start us off with yours?
Let's see. Yeah, I'll go ahead and start us off. So I'll go from the back,
hit it from the back.
Yes, sir. And then we'll go to our forwards. My keeper, I went with Peter Cech. Why?
You did not just say that. No. It's like he literally played for your team. No. He played for your team.
No.
Yeah, I know.
It's Peter Cech.
I said Czech earlier, and you said Cech.
No, I didn't. I've never said Cech in my life.
I swear to God.
No, it's Peter Cech, and I'm leaving this in the pod, by the way. I hope people roast you.
Oh, my God.
Okay, well, then I'm leaving, and we can start over.
No, don't do this. Remember what happened last time this happened?
Yeah, I don't give a shit.
No, don't.
Y'all gotta fucking make up these
No,
shit.
keep going. All right, Petr Cech. Who you got next?
We got Lee Dixon. We got Company. we got Ferdinand, and we got Irwin. And then our midfield, we got who's that?
Oh, you went with Rio Ferdinand from United. Okay,
Rio Ferdinand. And then
that's
we got
interesting.
Steven Gerrard, and we got Frank Lampard. And then up top, we got Rooney, Thierry Henry, the GOAT, and Sergio Aguero.
Wait a second.
Come on, what do we got?
Ferdinand, Irwin, and Rooney all played for Manchester United. That is 3, not 2.
Well, I'm using his Wolves edition.
Wait, for who?
For who?
For Irwin.
I'm pretty sure he is dog shit for Wolves.
Doesn't fucking matter.
So
he still has some dog left in the tank.
Nah, so already your team might be the worst out of all of us.
No,
by the way, I'm telling people to rate our shit in the comments. By the way,
yeah,
so they're gonna say that yours is terrible.
I don't give a shit. That was fine. That was a good ass team.
Wait, so you had Rooney and then who? Who the rest? Who else did you have at top?
Sergio Aguero and Thierry Henry.
Who'd you have at right wing?
Rooney. Honestly, I didn't even do wing. I just kind of threw them up here. I just had my 3 forwards.
So fucking go out there and play.
You're a midfielder, dude. Go out there and play with me.
All right, that's interesting. Yours is different. I'm not gonna lie.
Yours is actually quite different.
I wasn't expecting a few of those names, to be fair. So I will give you credit for creativity, albeit you're using a dude when he was washed from Wolves. So that's an interesting.
He had some dog, and I had to make do with what I had because at this point I couldn't use any more Man U players. So
yeah, Man U has a shit ton of legends,
especially on the defense.
Jake, what's yours looking like?
I'm actually gonna go from top to bottom. So at left wing, I had Ryan Giggs from Man U. At striker, I wanted to go Henry, but I had 2 other Arsenal legends in the squad.
You didn't put Henry in it? Oh my god!
You're a dumbass bitch.
It's fraud. That's the greatest Premier League player ever.
I didn't put him in, man.
Jake left out the greatest Premier League player of all time. Oh my god!
Didn't do it.
Did you put Drogba?
No.
Okay, at least you didn't put him.
No, I put Luis Suarez as my striker, Liverpool man. Then at right wing,
getting some light up top.
Yeah. Right wing, I had Cristiano Ronaldo. And then in my midfield, Stevie G, Frank Lampard, and I put Patrick Vieira in the midfield.
I like that.
Right back, I wanted to go with Neville, but I already had my Man U players in there. So I ended up going up with Pablo Zabaleta from Man City. Center backs, Vincent Kompany, also from Man City, so we'll have a little link up there.
Little green link on FIFA.
Yes, sir, baby. And I had to go with the best center back to ever touch the pitch, John Terry. You already know.
You're
left back.
Stupid.
Oh, who's better than him?
Me, bitch.
Okay.
You ever heard of David Luiz?
He's not better than John Terry. Left back, Ashley Cole, the Arsenal man, because I already had 2 Chelsea people in there. Plus, he was very good at Arsenal.
He was invincible at Arsenal.
Yeah. Man shut down Ronaldo on many a times, and not many wingbacks can say that. And then goalie was difficult because I used all of the big 6 teams except for Tottenham. And Tottenham...
That's hilarious how Tottenham doesn't get into our teams because that just proves they're not a big club, by the way. I just want to get that in there. Fuck Spurs.
Yeah, fuck Spurs. We almost forgot fuck Spurs.
Got to make sure we get that at least every podcast.
At least once.
If not more than once.
But I had to go with Hugo Lloris. He's been a solid keeper while he's been there.
One fuck all, but...
Yeah, and even though I didn't really want to go with him, my backup would be the best ever keeper.
We don't want to hear backups.
No, Tim Howard.
Oh, okay. Actually, we do want to hear that.
Everton, Tim Howard.
Should have went with Tim Howard over Lloris, too.
I was thinking about it, but then it's I don't know. He didn't, he's in the same boat as Lloris with Everton. He didn't really, win.
That's true.
Oh, well, though.
All right. Let's get into mine. I'm going to hit it from the back like Sling. I got Peter in goal, but it's Peter Schmeichel at goalkeeper, serial winner in the Premier League era. Now, he actually won a couple titles before the Premier League, I believe, but he carried in that title success into the Premier League era. So I got him at goalkeeper. From right to left, I got Pablo Zabaleta at right back. He was a part of that oil money surge from Man City, turning them into to serial winners that they are now. I probably would have put Gary Neville like you, but once again, I already had two Manchester United players, so I couldn't go with him. I'm going for a Manchester United center back like Sling, but it's Nemanja Vidic, not Rio Ferdinand. I think Vidic for me was probably better than Rio, so that's why I went with him. I went with John Terry. I think has the most. I want to say he has the most wins out of any center back in Premier League history. So I had to go with him. Won a few titles, won a Champions League, and then I went with Ashley Cole. I went with the Chelsea version of Ashley Cole. So little green link there in my formation.
Baby.
By the way, this is a 4-2-3-1 formation. And then in midfield, I have Stevie G, Steven Gerrard. He gets in easily for me, just to fill the Liverpool quota, which they're kind of funny. Like Liverpool they don't really have a ton of Premier League legends. Most of their legends are old.
Guys are going to be like the people that are playing now.
Yeah, like you have like Salah, Mane,
Van Dijk, probably.
I even thought about Van Dijk in this because if I'm being honest, the best center back. Now I've not been watching football I've been watching American football forever, but I've not been watching what the world calls football for too long. I've been watching it for like 6-7 years, and so I never really saw Nemanja Vidic play. I never really saw. I didn't see John Terry at his peak. I've seen him play, but not at his peak. I didn't see some of these other guys like Rio Ferdinand, Sol Campbell, Tony Adams. I never really saw them play live. And the best center back I've ever seen play is Virgil van Dijk. And in my opinion, I think that there's some debate about the best center back of all time in the Premier League. You got Terry, Vidic, guys like that. And I think Van Dijk in a few years, once he wins a few more things for Liverpool, will be right up there because, the dude is just an absolute freak. And so I really thought about putting him in there, but I left him out. And so my lone Liverpool player in this squad is Steven Gerrard. Next to him, I have the captain. I have Patrick Vieira. Just an absolute freak in that midfield. He's got to run the midfield from back to front, and had to include him. At right wing, I have Cristiano Ronaldo. This is kind of tough because you look at like the right wingers in Premier League history. There's not like a ton of great ones, and Ronaldo was at his best at Real Madrid, not for Man United, but he still had some crazy seasons at Man United, and he was still a freak of nature there as well. So he starts at right wing for me. My left winger is the GOAT, the greatest, the king, the greatest Premier League player of all time, Thierry Henry. My cam is actually Kevin De Bruyne, the best player I've ever seen play in the Premier League with my two eyes. Has obviously won a few titles with Man City, won some FA Cups, some League Cups. He's the best player I've ever seen play in the Premier League.
To win the league this year.
Yeah, and maybe he'll add a Champions League title to his name as well. And then up top, my only non-Big Six club, and that is Alan Shearer. Obviously, he's the all-time Premier League goal scorer. He won a league title with Blackburn Rovers, and then played with Newcastle for years. And so he gets into my team. So yeah, I feel like I got the best squad. I feel like my shit is a squad.
Cap.
No, me. I don't know, man. I'm feeling good about my squad.
You have a dude that was like 39 when he was playing for Wolves at left back. My Ronaldo is absolutely tearing Irwin a new asshole when they play. He will destroy that motherfucker.
I don't think so. I think it's
yes.
Hey, he's a veteran. He's a veteran in the game, right?
He's got the knowledge, but I don't really think his legs are going to be able to keep up with that knowledge of his. So that's a little suspect pick in my opinion.
My team's still better than Jake's. Just know.
Your team does have Thierry Henry, so I gotta. Jake didn't have the greatest player of all time.
My team above Jake.
Yeah, y'all are up there fighting for second place, but we know who got first. Anyways, if you we want people that are listening, hey, hit us up on Twitter at Clueless Yanks. If you're listening to this on YouTube, give us who do you think has the best squad? Who do you think has the worst squad? Rate them 1, 2, 3. Who do you think has the best team? Hell, put yours down. Make sure you use a stipulation. Only 2 players from each team. Don't be cheating and putting like 5 United players, 4 Arsenal players, and 2 Man City players, or however you want to do it. Do it with a stipulation, and let us know who you think has the best one. See if you can come up with your own that you think is better than any of ours. So, anyways, that is bringing us towards the end of the podcast. But before we get out of here, we got to do our winners and losers of the week. Sling, who you got for your winner this week?
My winner for the week is myself.
Okay, very good.
Humble.
I felt very
Very
good about
humble.
my 11 here that I picked, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so you're just lying to yourself at this
I hope
point.
the
That's
listeners think the
interesting.
same about my 11. Think there's some dogs, and I think they could take anyone's 11.
There's some battles.
Some perros.
Jake, I was just kind of cramping my foot. We're leaving that in, by the way. Yeah, Jake, who do you got as your winner of the week?
Mine
This
is
podcasting shit is tough, all right? It takes a toll on your body.
Mine's going to go hand in hand. My winner is the U.S. senior team, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it because it just correlates. My loser is the U23 U.S. team, and we've already explained. I'm not gonna
Well, since Jake wants to ruin the rhythm, so go ahead and give us your loser as well.
All right.
Probably myself. I spent too much money on this weekend.
So you're a winner and loser this week.
I'm a winner and loser this week.
The ups and downs of life.
Yeah.
All right. My winner this week is. My winner this week is. I want to say. A part of me wants to say Matthew Hoppe, if these rumors are true about him actually being linked to Bayern Munich for a $20 million transfer fee. But that might be capped, so I'm going to go with like what's on paper. And my winner this week is, some of the guys that were in. I'll narrow it down to one. My winner this week was Luca De La Torre. I think that he played really well. I think he's a guy that a lot of U.S. men's national team fans forgot about, including myself. And I think he's played himself right back into the picture. I want if like I said, if there's a World Cup qualifier tomorrow, if we were sending out our 23 for the World Cup tomorrow, I want him on it. And so he's my big winner this week. I don't want to just do like a whole broad spectrum of it, so I'm singling him out as my winner this week. And then my loser, this is a broad spectrum. The whole U23 setup. The players, the coach,
the fans.
The fans. Look, us fans, we cheered as hard as we could. Okay, we did our part. It's up to them. But yeah, the people that are involved behind the scenes of getting these players in, these disgraceful MLS clubs that apparently weren't releasing players, even though they're literally not in season right now, which makes it even worse. So everybody involved with that, they're losers for me. Big losers, massive losers.
Pussy losers.
Yeah. They're holding fat L's this week, in my opinion. So, all right, that wraps up the podcast. Appreciate everyone for tuning in this week. Before we get out of here, we got to quickly tell the listeners what we learned this week. Jake, what did you learn?
Shit.
Jake never knows. Sling, what did you learn? You don't know either, do you?
Nah.
I guess I learned if you work out, don't skip legs. Do legs because when you do legs after not doing legs for a while, your legs hurt a lot. So
don't do legs.
Don't fucking skip legs.
There's no point in doing legs. You can literally wear pants over them.
Yeah.
Walk on your arms or your hands.
Sling, what did you learn?
I learned that middle school principals or superintendents are really crazy and will set off fire extinguishers and then blame you for it.
I feel like that's a very specific example that might not.
Hey, it's what he learned though. Yeah,
I mean it's something that I learned.
Yeah, it's what you learn. That's fine. Yeah.
I learned that Jake's a fucking pussy.
Yeah, I learned that I'll fucking. I can't even say it on the pod. I can't even say it on the pod
because it's false, and we can't go.
We all
false
fucking
information. Know. All right, go ahead. Logan.
Speaking of a pussy. Speaking of.
Anyways, what I learned this week is that L-Tree Twitter is a toxic, wild place.
Yes.
I responded to a U.S. youth national team tweet on Wednesday after they beat us 1-0. And I said, brace yourselves for incoming L-Tree Twitter celebrating a 1-0 win in a meaningless game against our U23C team. Or I might have said D team, actually, because it might have been a D team. We were sitting a bunch of our starters. And I'm still, to this day, 3 days later, getting replies and hate messages from those tweets. Some things are said in Spanish. Google Translate has that, and they don't look like very nice words. So I'm a little upset about that. Why would you be calling me these things?
The receipts have been translated, and the day of reckoning is It's coming.
I don't care. I stand in the paint. I stand by what I say on Twitter. Not going to entertain it, but yeah, Eltree Twitter is a pretty toxic place, and I don't really want to run into that again, unless I'm on the upper hand, which I was though when I tweeted about them losing the Whales yesterday. So we win some, we lose some with Eltree Twitter, and actually, I say I don't want to get into that again, but I'm gonna stand in the paint, and you know what? You guys unleash the beast, and I'm gonna be trolling from now on out. So follow me on Twitter if you want to see some of that action. Anyways, appreciate everyone for tuning in. Lots and lots of U.S. men's national team talk this week. Not so much PL talk. Got a little bit in for our strictly PL listeners. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed what you had to hear. Look, if you're a men's national team fan, let us know how you felt about the U23 debacle earlier today. This will be getting released on Monday, so really tell us how you felt about the U23 debacle yesterday. Let us know your feelings on that, and the way you can let us know is by following us on social media. We are on Twitter at Clueless Yanks. Give us a follow over there. Interact with our tweets, DM us, do whatever you want to do. No hate mail, but do whatever you want to do over there. And then we're also on TikTok. Sling's over there slacking on our TikTok account. I'm about to fire him from that.
Literally
on multiple TikTok accounts.
Gave him stuff, tools to be
so
great.
We haven't posted on there in about 8 months. So go on there and talk shit on the videos and tell him to post videos. But that's the same thing, Clueless Yanks. We're obviously on YouTube. Some of y'all might be listening to this on YouTube. We will be releasing different kinds of videos on YouTube in the future. Like I said in the past, me and Slee are going to get on there for some Arsenal games. Me and Jake might get on there for some USA games in the future. And we appreciate everyone for tuning in. Shout out to anybody that is new to the podcast. Hopefully you enjoyed what you heard. If you like what you heard, please leave us a review on, we're on all kinds of podcast platforms. You've listened on Apple, leave us a review. We'd really appreciate it if you left a 5-star review, if you really enjoyed what we had to offer. And same time, same day next week, Monday evening releases here in the States, early morning or very late night releases in across the pond in Europe, however you want to look at it. And I think it'll come up around sometime noonish, around lunchtime in Australia for all of our mates over there.
Crikey!
Appreciate everyone for tuning in, and we will see you all next week.
Adios, muchachos.
I love you all.
Take it easy, everyone.